Skip, there's a lot of pressure on him because now no Klay, KD's gone, long gone. No Klay. And what we've seen is that we've seen other top guys. We saw Russ take a team and get them to the playoffs in the Western Conference. We've seen James Harden do it, Skip. Get a team get a team in the playoffs in the Western Conference. The Western Conference is loaded. So there, and many believe Steph is a top 5 player. So he's got his work cut out for him. They went and got Kelly Oubre. Now, it just goes to show you that they're willing to spend any amount of money because the $14 million salary that they're going to pay him cost them $80 million in luxury tax. And they say, we don't care. Yeah. Okay. And they got that big new shiny building, Skip, with no fans in attendance. Mm-hmm. And I know they're talking about they're going to spend $30 million to try to get these tests. But Governor Newsom, you ain't getting nobody in that building. Nope. Especially not now.
Nope.
So there's a lot that Steph is going to have to do, and he's going to have to be Steph, the old chef Steph. He's going to have to cook on a nightly basis. Now, you got to remember, Skip, Steph has not played a full season since 2016-17. That's 4 seasons ago. He only played 5 games last year. And unless you Benjamin Buttons or LeBron James, you don't age backwards.
Nope.
So he's under immense pressure to get this team into the playoffs, even though there is no Klay. Now, I thought even with Klay, Skip, they were somewhere between 3 and 6. Now they're looking at somewhere between 6 and 8. The West is loaded, Skip. And I even thought, even with Klay, Skip, the days of them doing what they did previously, 73-9, 67-15, Skip, that's over. That's long. I don't care. And they are the greatest shooting guard combination, the greatest 2 shooters on one team assembled in the history. But they were never going to have the success they had in what was that, Skip? 2014, 15, 16? That's over. So he's under immense pressure to get this team into the playoffs, and nobody wants to hear an excuse because we saw Russ take a team, get them into the playoffs. We saw James Harden do it, and granted, LeBron did it in the Eastern Conference, but we've seen guys take lesser with the talent, less talent, and get them in the playoffs. He's under that kind of scrutiny right now.
I'll go you one better. Not only does he need to lift this team into the playoffs in any way, shape, or form, 8 seed, 7 seed, 6 seed, because that's where they're going to fall, best case.
Right.
But he needs to be in the MVP conversation from start to finish. I'm not saying he needs to win it, but he needs to be in the mix of it.
Well, that's what it's going to take to get him in the playoffs.
Okay? If he's not in the MVP mix as he turns 33 years of age, people are going to turn back the clock and look at the back-to-back MVPs he won in 15 and 16, and they're going to attach an asterisk to each one. And they're going to say, with Klay, right, both times. And they're going to say, I'm going to throw this in. Remember, Andrew Bogut was your 5 in those 2 years.
Right.
Andrew Bogut was the first pick in the draft.
Yes.
Don't underestimate that. He was, at the time, the best passing big man in basketball. He was the shrewdest of operators because he could pick and roll like crazy for Steph. He could get Steph free. Okay? What I'm saying is when you have a shooter beside you who can get even hotter than you can get.
Right.
Because now we've seen what Klay can do. He can score 37 points in a quarter without missing a single shot. He went 13 for 13 in a third quarter and 9 of 9 from 3 and 2 of 2 from the free throw line. Seriously, Steph is the greatest shooter I've ever seen, but he can't get as hot as that guy can get.
Right.
Because the other guy rivals him as the greatest shooter ever. And to your point, they're obviously as a duo that there's never been anything like them before, not even close.
I remember when Mark Jackson first said that, people like, can they play? Oh,
well, that's when he was the coach.
Yeah, he's like, there we go. Oh, the hyperbole. He said, no. He said, these are the greatest 2 shooters.
And he was way right.
way right.
And he got to coach them at practice every day, and he would just, I'm sure, sit back in awe about,
are they really shooting like this? Are they really doing this?
Yeah, they really did. And I was in awe of Steph in 15 and 16, just in and of himself, because I'd never seen anything like this before. So in 15, he wins MVP with 44% three-point shooting. Every year in here, he led the league in free throw shooting at 91-ish%. And he made 286 threes, the first
which was MVP, the record.
Which was the record. He topped it the next year with 402. 402? And he led the league in scoring in 16 with 30 a game, led the league. and shot 45% from three. We'd never seen any kind of a shooting display like this in the history of basketball.
And Skip, that was the year he went 50, 40, 90.
Okay.
50% from the field, 40 from three, and 90 from the free throw line.
He made 50%. He did 45% for the three. Okay. So where he started to lose me a little bit was those playoffs came, and they're up 3-1 on your guy, and then disaster struck. 3 games of disaster. Game 5, Game 6, and Game 7 was back at Oracle in, quote-unquote, Steph's house. And he lost me a little bit. I lost a lot of respect because in those games, 5, 6, and 7, here's what he shot in those 3 games. 22 of 60 from the floor. That's 37%. From 3, 15 of 42. That's only 36%. Remember, he's 45% in the regular season. He averaged 4 turnovers in those 3 games and only 2 assists in those 2 games. So the turnover ratio was horrible. And he was a combined minus 20 in those 3 games. Now let's look at the fourth quarter. It got way worse in the fourth quarter of those 3 games. He shot 6 of 20 from the floor. That's 32%. 3 of 12 from 3 in the combined 3 fourth quarters. That's 25%. He shot 0 free throws in all 3 fourth quarters. That's just wrong. And he was a combined minus 12 in the 3 fourth quarters. And especially that final fourth quarter at Oracle, he was horrendous.
Well, Skip, what really set it off was he went behind his back and he threw it out of bounds.
That might have been the turning point of the whole series.
So in the Game 7, but Skip, that's, you have to be, with these guys, you have to be willing to accept the good with the bad. Because how many times had he made that play behind his back to Klay in the corner for a 3? He'd done it so many times.
Yep.
And so you're right. But Skip, the thing is, he's gonna have to be Chef Steph, because a lot of people say, yeah, you went along for a great ride with KD. Because they okay,
that's a whole nother issue.
Because KD
didn't win an MVP, obviously, but he went along for the ride twice.
But I mean, I wouldn't say he went along for the ride, Skip. But I mean, he was unbelievable in no playoffs. It's just KD was just out of this world, another planet.
But remember, Steph has never been a Finals MVP because Iguodala was the first time, and then KD.
Well, they should have gave that thing to Steph.
Okay, well, he made a case. I'll give you that. But the best player on the planet was Kevin Durant.
Well, the question is, Skip, how good is James Wiseman going to be?
Well, is he going to be Andrew Bogut right out of the box? I think not.
All I know is that I'm not letting Steph Curry beat me. Andrew Wiggins, if you can do what Klay Thompson can do, have at it.
Okay, I agree. I like Kelly Oubre. I do
too.
He's a nice player.
He had a career year last year, 19-6.
Okay, I like him. But is he Klay?
No, he ain't Klay. Hell no.
He's not Klay.
No, I mean, he ain't. Okay. I mean, Klay is elite.
All right.
3-and-D guy.
Okay, so Draymond's still there, but once upon a time he was a second-round pick.
Right.
He's overachieved, and he's been very good.
Well, he's going to have to get back. He's going to have to get back to what he was, Skip, in those final appearances run.
Yep.
Those years, 15, 16, 17, 18.
He was making case for
MVP. With the triple-doubles. And he's going to have to be that again. Maybe he was injured. Or maybe, Skip, it's hard. I mean, he was the third fiddle, and then KD comes. Now you're down to 4th. So now he gets back to his normal role. He ain't got to worry about stepping on anybody's toes or saying something because, Draymond's going to be Draymond. And Draymond stepped on somebody's toes. They got upset, and, that upset the whole apple cart 2 years ago. I don't care what anybody said. It was never the same after that. Oh, man, this happens all the time. That, the heat of the moment, Skip. We got all that. We got all the cliche talk. Saying that, no.
Yep, I agree. So my bottom line on Steph Curry is he was all world, like out of this world for those few first years. And now it comes time to validate what you once did as you're 33. And more he has become obsessed with playing another game called golf.
Right.
And I saw it do in Tony Romo in Dallas because he started to have delusions of grandeur on the golf course, and he started trying to qualify for the U.S. Open. Steph has been playing in a lot of events, including some pro events that allow him in.
Yeah.
Well, are you going to recommit to this? Because you got to decommit to golf if you're going to do
what
this.
they don't understand is that the worst golfer will beat the best amateur, beat the brakes off him.
Yeah, but
and that's what Tony Romo's finding out. Do they realize how, just like, oh, that man, he can shoot. Okay, you put him up against these great shooters, Steph or Klay, and he get the doors blown off him. You have to understand, these guys are perfect. Skip, that's their life.
Yeah.
They didn't just pick this up. Phil Mickelson and DJ, they didn't just pick that up. That's not a hobby to them.
Well, trust me, golf gets in your blood because it's got a hold of me, and it won't let go. And he's got it in his blood, and it will be the undoing of you if you're not careful in your later career.
You see my guy? My guy ain't got no hobby.
You know what? He does not play
My
golf.
guy-
That's the one thing I admire
My guy
about him.
got no hobby.
He does not play golf.
You know what my hobby is? Winning titles. That what his hobby is.
Playing Arizona Cardinals
Don't do
on
that.
Madden.
Skip. Don't do
That's what
that.
he does. That's your hobby.
No, don't do that. Skip. you such a hater.
Yeah, way to go.
Ooh, no
I
hobby.
love my cuz Steph Curry, but this is all great news for my Lakers. I'm going to leave it there.
We had them anyway, Alex. Don't worry about that. We had them anyway.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.